Good evening. My name is Ed Ruth, and I will be your chairman for tonight's meeting. I'd like to welcome you to the May 22nd, 2022 Board of Adjustment public meeting. Please stand for flag salute and a moment of silence. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, as adequate notice of the meeting has been provided by mailing the annual schedule of meetings to the Union County Local Source and Star Ledger, by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board in the town hall reserved for such announcements, and the filing of said notice with the Township Clerk of Clark. Formal action may be taken at this meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Dante Tignini.
Here.
Mark Hayden.
Here.
Douglas Crock.
Here.
Chris Tierney.
Here.
Ed Ruth.
Here. Right now, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of our April 24th meeting. Hopefully you've had a chance to go through the minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
I motion.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mark Hayden. And approval of the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Correspondence?
No correspondence.
This evening we'll be swearing in Dante as an alternate member of the board.
I, Dante Tignini, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of New Jersey, that I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in the state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of alternate one member of the Board of Adjustment, according to the best of my ability, to the Township of Clark, so help me God.
Thank you, Dante. Welcome aboard. Any other correspondence?
No.
No other correspondence. Any old business? There being none, I'll move on to tonight's application. Application 5-23. Mr. Ransky, come up to the podium, please. I know you've met with the attorney and you've gone through the proofs of service, so that's all in order?
Yes, the notice is in order, both the mailing and the service to the neighbors.
Okay, very good. Let me swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
And just state and spell your name for the record, please. Say your name and spell your last name.
My name is Kevin Ransky, R-A-N-S-K-I.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you
Floor,
want to go ahead and tell us, why you're here and what you need to do, why you need to come in front of the zoning board in order to do it?
I reside at 56 Maybell Drive.
can you speak up a little bit, sir?
I reside at 56 Maybell Drive in Clark, New Jersey. And we purchased the house in 2018. I've been a resident of Clark since the year 2000, July. We've been in a couple different homes. We've improved 2 of them, sold them, and moved to bigger homes because apparently my kids are never going to move out. That's what my older friends tell me. So we got a larger home in 2018, and my daughter, who was born with spina bifida, started to have some issues, clinical issues, and they were misdiagnosed initially, and then COVID struck, which further delayed her surgeries. And then she had a surgery in 2020. When we knew it was imminent that she was going to have to go back for surgeries, even before COVID, we were kicking around with the idea of putting a pool in the yard, which the town approved. And unfortunately, we got a COVID pool. So it took 2 years for them to install the pool. And that delayed all of the other softscape work and figuring out what to do. The excavator operator damaged the shrubberies, he damaged the deck. So upon inspecting the deck, I found that there weren't footings on the extremities of the deck. So I had to dismantle that section of the deck until I got to solid footings, and I put up a temporary deck so that we could have access to the yard, just some temporary railings. And now that my daughter's condition, we're coming to the new reality that she's going to have some lifelong challenges. And we wanted to increase her capacity to enjoy the outdoors, so I decided to add a covered deck section to the new deck that I have to put on. So we're expanding the existing deck, and we're going to put a covered section on so that I can put some infrared heaters in, and she can have more like 3-season experience outside. Or even if it's snowy and she wants to go outside and watch the snow under the covered deck. So according to the design plan, a couple percentage points over on coverage, which is pretty stringent in town on the R150 lots for structural coverage. So the design keeps the covered section of the deck at the center of the yard, so I have maximum offset from all sides of the neighbors. I'm not encroaching on anyone's yard. And just based on flow and what we're trying to accomplish, which is like a TV area and an eating area and a covered kitchen, I really can't give up the percentage points to make all 3 of those facets work under roof. So I hired an architect who drew the plans that I designed to spec out, did all my coverage ratios, got all my signed and sealed surveys and plans now, and I'm putting it before the board to decide whether we can build this addition.
And the addition is the extra footage on the deck.
Yeah, it's the roof coverage is what we're over on. So I'm under on impervious. If I was just building the deck without the covered roof, I would only need a building permit. But this extra roof coverage requires that I add it. And I think it's in character with the town. You know, homes are going for $1 million new construction. The home across the street from me, which is a similar vintage, sold for $900,000. So I don't think what we're doing is too extravagant. And I think it'll benefit the neighborhood. I think it'll benefit resale value for the neighborhood. So.
I had driven by your home, and I noticed that there was what appeared to be footings that were covered in tarp. Is that where you had to repair your deck? Is that why?
Yeah, there's all sorts of issues there, and I wanted to make sure that when the pool guys came to open the pool, they didn't trip over anything or deal with anything. So.
Okay. Because you have not started on any of this construction prior to coming to.
Well, the only thing I did was the demo that was necessary after the deck was damaged. I couldn't leave it there.
Gotcha.
Damaged the way it was.
Can I just ask for the right, so I can put it in the record, what is the height approximately of like the deck off the ground, and then how high is the covering? It's not taller than the house.
The highest point of the deck is under 3 feet, but I'm still putting railings on.
Is under? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
The highest point of the deck opposite the lowest point of grade is still under 3 feet, but I'm still installing railings for safety.
And the covering is then, so let's just say the deck is 3 feet. The covering is then what, 8, 10 feet over that?
Yeah, it's in line. It'll be like 8 feet clear the ceiling height, and then it's a partial hip roof to match the style of the roof on the main part of the house. And I think it's under 16 feet, based on the
Doesn't exceed the house, the height
the
of the house.
total height of the house is like 28 feet. It's a two-story house.
Any questions from the board members?
What's the, how much are you over? What was
I
the,
believe the calculation based on the architect was 18.9% versus 15.
3%.
3%, 4%,
I'm sorry?
roughly 4%?
Yeah, approximately.
And cutting that back wouldn't satisfy your needs.
We'd give up one of the three elements, either the kitchen, the eating area, or the TV area, so.
Is that reasonable if the board was to decide that you needed to go back to the 50%?
Do I think it's reasonable? Well, I mean, I'm a commercial broker, so I've worked in construction. I've done construction estimates. I used to work for Rudy Dano in town when he first started his company. He's actually, that company's the first company I was licensed with before I went out to do commercial. On the north side, our 60 lots have 50% structural coverage, or 3,000 square feet, and the impervious is 80. So if I had a 6,000 square foot lot, I wouldn't be here for a variance. So based on that reality, I think it's not unreasonable to grant me, 18.9%. I'm so far below what the smaller lots in town are held to as a threshold.
And just to confirm, you're still below the impervious coverage, it's just building
Yeah,
coverage?
Still below, I believe it's 44% impervious, and some of that's pavers. Like I'm doing all the pavers around the walkways, all, permeable pavers, so.
And there's no stormwater runoff issues, no, I mean, with impervious coverage, you're fine on it, but usually the issue is whether or not you're having stormwater runoff that impacts your neighbors or impacts the property.
Well,
You don't have any issues with it?
I guess fortunately, right behind me, so behind me, it's the Downies. I think it's 11 Meissner. The town actually has a huge, 2-foot retention drain that was installed, I guess, when they built the neighborhood. So that's really there to catch any runoff. That's something most people don't have behind their house. So that catches a lot of the runoff from the surrounding properties. So I'm not really transmitting a lot off my property.
So do you see any negative impact that this, the covering is going to have on any of your neighbors?
There's no sight line. I have a hedgerow behind the house that's 35 feet tall. It doesn't, my other neighbor, it doesn't encroach on their sight lines. So. I'm going to make sure I keep my shed under the 88 square feet so that I don't have any issues with the town.
They're all fenced in as well.
Yes, it's a fence yard. Yeah. Unfortunately, we fenced before the pool, so a section now has been down over 2 years. And I'm itching to just finish this because it's been a long 2 years. When we started this for my middle child, my oldest was a freshman in high school. And now, we had a little pop-up pool, and we would do the sprinklers and stuff when they were smaller. But literally, this has cost us the yard for her entire high school life. So she's going to college this summer, and I may not be done with this yard by the time she leaves the nest. So it's been very frustrating, but it'll still be there for my other daughter. So.
Doug, anything?
I have nothing at the moment.
Chris?
I ask a quick question. Are you extending the existing concrete around the pool to
That's in place, and that was approved when the pool was installed 2 years ago.
Anything else, Mark? All All right, at this point, I would ask for any witnesses, either for or against your application.
Apparently,
Seeing
I'm
no
a
one
friendly neighbor.
Here, it sounds like your neighbors have no issue. All right. If I can get a final statement from you before we take this to a vote. Just to summarize,
I would say we're at the board's mercy here to put this nearly 3-year ordeal to bed so we could just finish off and, I could spend some of my kids' college fund, finishing the yard that I thought we'd be done with 2 years ago. So I've tried to, play by the rules, cross the Ts, dot the Is. I've gotten professionals when asked. We're in for thousands of dollars already, and I haven't put a screw in wood yet, so we're just hoping we can move forward. Thank you for your time.
anything? At this point, I'll entertain a motion on this application
Pass a motion.
to approve. Do I have a second?
Just because the motion is to approve the application as presented?
Yes.
Doug Crock will second that.
The only thing I might suggest is that we put something in the resolution that you cannot enclose that deck area. Okay? So really with that modification. You're okay with that, gentlemen?
Yeah, go up there. Like a fabric screen?
I understand the desire not to increase the
Make it-
square footage by turning it into a
living
4-season, 3-season room, but
Right.
they make like these retractable screens that, if I could ever close another real estate deal, I was thinking about like doing for mosquitoes, but I just want to make sure it doesn't preclude me from, just putting like a screen up or something like that, but I understand like making it a living space.
So if the board agrees, the precondition would be that the applicant agreed to never enclose the deck area to make it a living space, but that a fabric screen would be permitted.
Okay, I like it.
Fine.
Thank you.
All right. Any other commentary from board members? If not, take it to a vote, please. Vote on the motion as amended.
Dante Tignini,
Pass. Aye.
Mark Hayden,
Yes.
Douglas Crock,
Yes.
Chris Tierney,
Yes.
and Ed Ruth.
Yes. Motion is approved. Thank you. We will memorialize this at our next meeting, where a resolution will be drawn up by our attorney, and the board will vote on that motion.
Okay.
You do not need to come to the next meeting. We will just, it'll get approved, and then you'll be able to pick it up from the office and grab your building permits, okay?
Thank you so much.
The only other thing, you are not able to continue or start any construction until the resolution has been approved.
Okay.
Right. You can need the actual resolution before the building department's going to give you your permit. Okay.
If you do, and you can
So,
waive that
well-
right and
Right.
allow you to.
I do have one question regarding that. So because nothing changes with the deck, whether it's got a roof or not, structurally, like the whole foundation of the deck is basically the same whether you grant the approval or not, would it be possible for me to just proceed with the ground-up structural stuff so that we can get a head start?
You can go to the building department and put in an application just for the deck without the roof part,
Right.
if you want to get that started.
Okay.
And then come back and ask for an amendment, I would believe, to your construction
Perfect.
application.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
The downside is if you went ahead and something occurred with the resolution, we disapproved it, it'd be kind of at your peril.
No, I understand, but I mean, logically,
Right,
right
then-
now,
The project that you want to construct has been approved. It's just memorializing, it's the paperwork that has been
Right.
done.
Yep.
So the board really, Unless you didn't like the way I wrote it, you would approve the resolution. The only reason to not approve the resolution would be because you don't like the way I wrote it.
Okay.
So, so it's
No,
kind of,
it was just
it's
that
kind of a pro forma thing, you just have to wait.
Structurally, my peril would be overbuilding the substructure, which I would gladly do just to get a head start on this so that my wife loves me again.
Very well, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
All right. The next order of business is to get to the resolutions. We have two of them this evening.
The first resolution is the Nicholas Rubelski. This was the application for C variance to construct a covering over an existing 7 by 17-foot front porch as part of renovations to an existing house at the property identified as Block 182, Lot 30, also known as 92 St. Lawrence Drive in the Township of Clark. The applicant presented several sets of plans and prior approvals from the town as part of his application. He was requesting a front yard setback variance of 30 feet where 24.58 feet is, the required is the 30 feet. He was proposing the 24.58 feet, and the front yard depth is required to be uniform with the prevailing setbacks, which it is not, and the covered porch is only permitted to be 5 feet, and his is larger than that. So those are the three variances that were required. The board heard the application and testimony from Mr. Rubelski at their meeting of May 22nd, 2023, and this resolution memorializes that decision by the board that night to approve the application. The board found and concluded that the C variance can be granted to permit the applicant to cover the existing porch. There is a hardship created by the undersized lot and the location of the existing home and porch. The addition of the covered porch is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood where many homes have usable front porches. The porch covering will not encroach any further on the front yard than the existing porch has since 1998. The covered porch is also a safer alternative for the residents and the visitors as it protects them from the elements while they are entering the home. The porch also adds an aesthetic improvement to the property and is beneficial to the neighborhood. There are no negatives, only positives to the granting of the variance requested, and the benefits substantially outweigh any detriments. So the board voted to approve. The conditions include our usual conditions in addition to the applicant agreeing never to enclose the front porch.
May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Mark Hayden, second.
I'll second.
Chris Tierney. Right, roll call before vote.
Douglas Crock,
Yes.
Chris Tierney,
Yes.
Mark Hayden,
Yes.
Ed Ruth.
Yes.
Okay, and the second application, the second resolution is Pardo, calendar number 3-23. This was an application for a D and C variance for the expansion of a nonconforming garage at the property identified as Block 92, Lot 6, also known as 33 Lincoln Boulevard in the Township of Clark. The applicant appeared on 2 days, presented several exhibits and expert testimony. The board considered the request for a D variance for expansion of a nonconforming use and for non-permitted accessory structure of the oversized garage. They also considered the variances requested for lot coverage, where permitted is 30%, the existing was 36%, and the proposed was 41.4%. C variance for impervious coverage, where the maximum permitted is 50%, the existing is 63%, and the proposed was 68%. And rear yard setback for the accessory structure, the minimum rear yard is supposed to be 5 feet, the existing is 1.91 feet, and the proposed expansion of the garage was also going to be at 1.91 feet. The board, at the conclusion of the application, voted to deny this application. The board concluded that the variances for permitting the expansion of the nonconforming use could not be granted because the garage addition triggers the D variance in two ways, and either one alone would be enough to deny the requested application. An accessory use takes on the attributes of the use to which it is accessory. There is a case we can cite for that, Angel versus Franklin Township Board of Adjustment, 109 New Jersey Super 195. Therefore, even if the garage addition qualifies as a private garage and a permitted accessory use, it would require a D variance because it expands the non-conforming two-family use. However, the garage also requires a D variance because of the size of the garage makes it non-permitted accessory structure. Accessory structures are defined under ordinance, and this exceeds the size of that. The expansion of the garage at the property therefore can only be permitted by a D variance because of those two issues. And the oversized garage does not qualify as a private garage, and it expands the existing two-family use. The applicant failed to carry its burden of establishing the standards for a D variance had been met. The applicant must establish special reasons for a grant of a D variance in the form of either undue hardship or showing that the project carries out the purpose of zoning. The site suitability test must also be met by showing that the use is particularly fitted to the particular location for which the variance is sought. The case we can cite to for that is Cole versus Mayor and Council of Fairlawn, and also Medici versus BPR and Company. There is no special reason to justify that such an oversized garage on a residential lot. Neither the residents of the property nor the landowner established any special reason for the oversized garage, except that the owner would like more storage space. The justification for the D variance must be based upon special reasons that are particular to the property and support the purposes of municipal land use law, not the personal needs or wants of the property owner. The lot is undersized in area and the home encroaches on the front and side yard setbacks already. The driveway is too close to the side yard line, and the existing portion of the garage is too close to the rear lot line and the side yard line. The existing structures on the property already exceed the impervious lot coverage and building coverage, and the addition to the garage would only exacerbate those coverage violations. This is clearly not a property that has space for an oversized accessory structure. This property is not especially suited to an oversized addition. And the board concluded that the granting of the D variance would substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. Once the D variance was decided, the C variances obviously would not be granted as well, but they are referred to and gone through at length in the resolution as to why the criteria was not met, either as a hardship or flexible C variance for granting of those C variants as well. So the board, at the end of the hearing, concluded to deny the application, and this is a memorializing resolution adopting what happened on May 22nd, 2023. Hopefully that was a good enough summary. It's 8 pages.
Members are invited to read the full resolution. Janet will have a copy of it in her office. I may have a motion to approve resolution on case 3-23.
Motion to approve.
Chris Tierney, a motion to approve. And a second?
Second by Doug Crock.
Doug Crock, second. And we have a vote now on the resolution.
Okay, Mark Hayden,
Yes.
Douglas Crock,
Yes.
Chris Tierney,
Yes.
Ed Ruth.
Yes.
That's it.
I thank Kelly for her excellent work on the resolution.
Thank you. And both of those are always, the resolutions are always available in the board's office if anybody from the public wants to get a look at those. And the board secretary will mail copies of those to the applicants.
Okay, very good. Any other issues to discuss? We only have the 2 resolutions this evening. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Doug Crock, motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.